Marvel Studios' approach to hiring director has been rather interesting. Most of the projects that they hire directors for, they go for almost indie level filmmakers or people that are still very fresh, that they, of course, we know can largely be in control of. But it looks like that's all about to change. So when it comes to Marvel Studios, ever since the beginning, their tactic was always to hire lesser known directors or directors that they can get for cheap and more or less tell them what to do. From Jon Favreau to Louis Leterrier to the Russo brothers to John Watts for Spider-Man to Scott Derrickson. And before you write a 3-paragraph long explanation of how Jon Favreau is not an indie director, he was literally starring as Foggy Nelson in Daredevil like 5 years before he directed Iron Man 1. And nobody would give him a big directing gig. So yeah, he was a small-time director, but now he's just kind of grown beyond that because he's doing some stuff with Star Wars and still appears in the MCU. So that's not an argument. We're talking about what was happening back in the day. Yes, he's more popular now, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he was a indie director and a small-time director. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, somebody's going to bring up Joss Whedon. Yes, he was more popular, but he also had a lot of bombs, and his biggest bomb was Serenity, which picked up after the failure of Firefly. So, yeah, he kind of falls into that as well. Well, what we're hearing is that starting this year and in the future, Marvel Studios is going to try to go after bigger names. They don't just want smaller directors anymore. They're seeing that the fans want more unique voices. And a name that's been brought up is something like Sam Raimi, where they let Sam Raimi do a Sam Raimi film, and people look back on Multiverse of Madness and go, you know what? Out of many of the films these days, yeah, you compare that film to something like Thor: Love and Thunder. They literally, followed Multiverse of Madness. You see the difference there. And I think what they're saying now is that they're going to let these directors kind of exercise their own freedom a little more and put their own voice in there, which I think is great. I hope that this turns out to be true and that this is sort of the way going forward, because sometimes that can really work for you, sometimes it can't. I know a lot of people didn't like Eternals because it's a Chloe Zhao movie, but also there was a degree of studio mandate and everything, so you got to meet somewhere in the middle. I just hope that they offer some of these directors that are asking for, more freedom and bigger budgets and more money, the freedom to do and deliver what they need without much studio meddling. Because that seems to really be the problem these days. The universe has grown so much that everything has to sort of curate to one voice in one direction. And I think that's kind of taken some elements away from these directors and their freedom.